pregnant. You wonder how that happened. Well, it turns out those women had sexual encounters with another inmate who was a biological man passing as a woman. Now, some people predicted that this would happen, and they were laughed at, mocked, and attacked as bigots. Kara Dansky is at the very top of that list. She said this years ago on our show. She's the president of the U.S. chapter of the Women's Declaration International, author of the book The Abolition of Sex, How the Transgender Agenda Harms Women and Girls, and we are happy to have Kara Dansky back. Kara, thanks so much for coming on. I'll never forget the first time, and it had to have been at least 4 years ago, when you said, if we keep going down this path, we're going to have biological men in women's prisons. And you were right.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. You know, though the story that's happening in New Jersey is obviously horrible for so many reasons. We need to not have men being housed in women's prisons. But a couple takeaways from this that I just want to point out are, first of all, the state is not getting away with this by telling its residents that they are housing men in women's prisons. What they are doing, of course, is telling the residents that they are housing so-called transgender women or trans women in women's prisons, suggesting that there is some sort of subcategory of women that is called transgender women or trans women, and it's not true. The fact of this story shoots a hole right through the trope that trans women are women. Our society has been taught that we are supposed to say and think that trans women are women, but obviously that is not true, because the individuals that are the focus of the story impregnated women, and every thinking adult, no matter what the President of the United States has to say on the matter, knows that there is no category of women who can impregnate women. So I really want to thank you for highlighting this story. And I also just want to point out that this is not just a problem in New Jersey, this is a problem across the country. I know that we have talked previously about how the state of California recently enacted a law at the end of 2020, which went into effect in 2021, which mandates that men be housed in women's prisons on the basis of their so-called gender identity if they say that they are women. Washington State has a similar policy. However, this is not just happening in blue states, this is happening across the country. As far as I know, 49 states plus the District of Columbia have some form of law or policy in place that mandates the housing of men in women's prisons.
Why is it left to you and J.K. Rowling and a couple of others to point this out? Where are the physicians who know perfectly well that what you're saying is true, the biologists who know it every bit as well? Why are they going along with this when they know it's a lie?
So the entire medical establishment in the United States has been captured by so-called
That's their baby daddy.
ideology. And what I really want all Americans across the political spectrum to understand is that trans is not a civil rights movement to protect.
He didn't kill his foster father.
There's a multi-trillion
Demetrius didn't kill his foster
that is
father.
pushing this. It is paying the medical establishment
30
it is paying
years
media
too.
outlets, it is paying our government. It is
Dang.
paying our schools. It is at all levels, elementary.
Let's talk about the fact that he's a transgender that murdered his foster father and is serving 30 years. And you in there impregnating women?
Material reality of sex.
It's a lot going on.
Identity. This is all being pushed by a multi-trillion-dollar industry in the guise of a civil rights movement. It's all a lie.
And these are the people providing our medical care. It's really scary when you put it
They
that
are.
way.
What they say?
I know someone who is a medical student right now, and she is horrified about what's being taught. I do just want to say really quickly, there's something that has been announced in the past couple of weeks called the Women's Bill of Rights. This was drafted by members of the Women's Liberation Front and by members of Independent Women's Voices, supported by my organization, Women's Declaration International.
She said something about the community paying these people off. Hold on.
When they know it's a lie.
So the entire medical establishment in the United States has been captured by so-called trans ideology. And what I really want all Americans across the political spectrum to understand is that trans is not a civil rights movement to protect a marginalized community of people. It is a multi-trillion-dollar industry that is pushing this. It is paying the medical establishment. It is paying most media outlets. It is paying our government. It is paying our schools. It is at all levels, elementary schools through college,
Wow.
to push the idea that the material reality of sex does not exist, and that what is more important than the material reality of sex is so-called gender identity. This is all being pushed by a multi-trillion-dollar industry in the guise of a civil rights movement. It's all a lie.
Wow. You heard it. It's all a lie. It's an agenda being pushed and being paid off through the school system. They didn't pay the trans community or LGBTQXYZ community is paying off the states. It's paying off the prison system now, clearly, and it's been paying off the school systems at all levels. Why is a gay agenda? Well, that's what a gay agenda does. I guess it pays everybody off so it can be pushed. Ask yourself, why is it being paid off to the school systems? So that they can raise the kids to think like that man, go and kill some shit possibly, end up in prison, in a woman's prison, because they think they a girl, but they really a boy, Damon. And then that ain't got people in there pregnant and doing all kind of weirdo stuff. You want to see the death of society, a death of a world, a death of a kingdom? Look and watch. This how I gotta go down. All kind of weirdo, messed up, demonic activity got to take place to break down a society. Because it's the end. It's like when you flush the toilet. All that nastiness. It's got to, you at the end of it. So it's all got to be sewage and the swamp drain. Place got to get burned. Got to burn. Look at it. You got men in women's prisons getting them knocked up, doing stuff. Now it's gonna be what? Oh, we got trans in men's prisons too. Now let's talk about that. How at least 89% of the men are sleeping with men, and then coming out like Pimp C said, poisoning the real population, the P population. Giving them all kinds of... Listen, man. It's going down. Keep your legs closed. Everybody. Shit. Everybody keep your legs closed. It ain't safe. The natural way ain't even safe. Don't do nothing. Just don't do nothing. Do what you're supposed to do. And keep your legs closed and your mouth closed too, clearly. There's too much going on. I gotta go. Shalom.